It's Tuesday afternoon, and you know what that means. It's time for Randomity with the Random Christian Show. Today, Christian welcomes Russ Tuttle of the STOP Trafficking Project. The Random Christian Show is now officially sponsored by PJ's Coffee of New Orleans. Check out their drink specials today. Find the nearest PJ's Coffee to you at pjscoffee.com. Mention the Random Christian Show for a 15% discount. The Random Christian Show is proudly supported by The Advisor. The Advisor is a Facebook group created by Colonel James Neal Broadus, composed of multi-talents such as actors, directors, artists, writers, and more. If you fall into this category, contact them on Facebook at The Advisor. Intro music provided by the Dead Campers. Check them out on Spotify and at deadcampers.com. Next week, the Random Christian Show is talking to Michael Huber from the Freshman Foundation podcast. My name is Andy, and now here's your host, Christian Random.
Yay! There we are! It worked, kind of. After a small momentary delay, it worked fantastically, and it's Tuesday at 4 Central Time, so that means this is the Random Christian Show. I am Christian Random. That is Andrew right there. Yeah, no,
Yes.
yeah, see, that's why I
Right.
have the sign up here saying Andy's this way. Andy's that way. Yeah.
Good for you. I'm glad.
Old and senile, so I need directions. Welcome to it, kids. Yes, very special guest today, Mr. Russ Tuttle. Very excited to have him on, talking about the Stop Trafficking Project, which, we have this wonderful sponsor, PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee. Refreshing and delicious. Yes. But underneath this PJ's cap is one of these fantastic Random Christian Show hats. There it is right there. See? Beautiful graphics designed by the one and only Andrew Drake, which all the profits from these hats go to Run to Stop It, which again funds the Stop Trafficking Project and the Relentless Pursuit outreach and all that. So make sure you are going to the website, therandomchristianshow.com, or email me, therandomchristianshow@gmail.com, and we can get you a hat. $25 covers all the shipping throughout the U.S. So please help us support these people and these wonderful organizations. Again, thank you so much to The Advisor. Okay, The Advisor, Colonel James Neal Broadus. That's right. The Colonel with his wee beady eyes. Yeah. And our good friends over at Spreaker Podcast and iHeartRadio, who have now fully supported us and taken us on, as well as being in the top 20 of good pods. That's right. Yeah. Still riding hard. Just saying. Peace, geez. All right. And our good friends, the Dead Campers. In fact, they just had a big show down in San Diego.
That's right.
Yeah, so very excited. I'm waiting to hear from Donnie Champion about that.
Nice.
With a little update and how it all went, because that was. I mean, they're from Santa Cruz, so it means they're kind of touring the coast now.
There you go.
Getting a little crazy out there, getting big time. So anyway, hey, how you doing, Andy?
All is well. Yeah,
All
the
is
sun
well.
The sun is shining, so I cannot complain.
And ventured to the beach yourself, by the way, didn't you?
That's right. So safe to say we were awful parents this summer. To our one son, and the one place he loves to go is the beach. And exactly, we realized that we just completely forgot to plan a trip, and so we sort of fit in a lot of the good stuff right before he goes back to school tomorrow, as a matter of fact. So yeah, so we went to the beach and had a great time, and it was beautiful. And yep, wow, not even 4 minutes in. Good job, Christian. Great job, man.
so love you. Love you so
great
much.
job. Great job. So yeah, went to the beach. Everything was great. He had a blast, and we are no longer crappy parents. So
Well, I'm just a crappy steward of my stuff, computer wise. So, anyway, I was just trying to fix the soundboard computer, but
Okay.
that was 4 minutes in. Thanks for the timer. Appreciate it. Let's go ahead and enable our chat while we're at this point.
Thinking about it.
Just so-
All right.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, thinking about it. It crushed my mind, so I thought I'd do it. Then I spilled some of my delicious PJ's coffee. Yeah. All over my leg. So right now I'm dealing with scalding third-degree burns because their mugs keep your coffee fresh and hot. Hot enough
Cheers.
to burn your flesh. So there we go.
Well, good to know it stays. Yeah, so good to know it stays warm.
Right. Anyway, I'm gonna tap into this just real quick, and then we're gonna go into Russ. But
Okay.
a few weeks ago, podcast movement 2022. It was out there.
Mhm.
I was very excited. I actually was wanting to try and go and attend this because these things, especially this one, I've heard nothing but great things about all the good information you can get from it and whatnot. So,
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be an open forum for all. Okay, and whatever you
Right.
do, wherever you got a podcast, live stream. This is your gig, baby. Well,
Yeah.
so apparently the first day, the Daily Wire, a Ben Shapiro group, apparently was Ben Shapiro showed up to their booth unannounced. He was not on the list or anything like that. Just kind of showed up, and apparently it caused quite the uproar. And so, podcast movement came out and apologized for allowing him to be there, and because it upset some, I guess, liberals or whatever you want to call them, people. I'm just going to say people that don't like Ben Shapiro.
There you go.
So I just happened to make the comment saying, wow, I'm glad I didn't spend my money. I was thinking that this was an open forum for all of us. It's about podcasts. It's not about popularity contests or politics. Well, that over 10,000 responses later over the next
Oh, wow, really?
I get after 10,000, I just finally went, okay, whatever. There's a lot of there was a lot of support for what I said, and there was a lot of people. Well, then of course it was just people attacking each other, and I kept going, listen, that's not what this is about. So quit making it about that. Let's make it about, let's just be cool to each other. Don't apologize for somebody being the way they are. That's their problem. Right. And we have the right. That's what makes this country so great, is because we do have freedom of choice, just like Devo used to sing back in the day. So
I thought this was fascinating too. Wasn't Daily Wire like a sponsor of the event? Didn't they pay a lot of money to help put this on?
Well, they paid a lot of money to be there. I know that for a fact. As to a sponsor, I don't think so. Okay. I think they helped promote it because they were being allowed to be there. Sure. Again, they that's the one thing that really irked me. Podcast movement kept using the terms allowed. Right. It's an open forum. If they paid to be there, they're not just being allowed to be there. They've paid to be there, to be representing themselves. Just like all the other podcasts or whoever, the podcast sites. So not sure why this was such a upsetting thing, except for people who just don't like Ben Shapiro or their viewpoints.
Well, and that's a big thing here too, is that the last 6 years, right? I think we're still sort of healing from just the differences around, right? And everything was so polarized in the last 6 years that and it's easy now. It's easier than ever to get your opinion out under relative obscurity too. You know, you have
cyberbullying.
You have a Twitter handle, right? And you have your social handle, whatever that is. But then you can get out there, speak your piece, and you can forget about it and let people argue about it in the comments. or
Right.
you can join in the fight. And again, if someone doesn't necessarily line up with your views, sure, you can get angry at it. But I agree. I think the podcast movement sort of dropped the ball on how they responded to it.
Yeah.
And again, regardless of what your politics are, this guy is a relative giant in the industry, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
In the podcast. And so, you know, granted, you don't agree with his message or his politics, but at the same time, you have to respect what he's built, and the company that he's built, and how he markets and gets himself out there. Like, you know what? I mean, if I were there, even if I don't align with his views, hey, if he was willing to talk to me for 5 minutes on what it is to take a podcast out there and build it from the, you know, hey, I would have taken that advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Happily. Right.
Right. I mean,
again, he's not telling me the message to say. He's not telling me how to. I mean, he's basically saying, "This is how you get it out. This is how you say it." You know,
right?
He's not telling me what to say. He's not telling me that my message is wrong. Right.
Absolutely.
So,
and that's the thing. That was the point I was trying to make. You know what? I don't agree with everything he says. I don't disagree with everything he says. But I'll tell you this much: like you were just saying right there, he gets it. He knows what he's doing, and he's done it well. Okay.
Yes.
And it's, you know, to learn from that. I mean, we all need to learn from each other one way or another, whether we agree with it or not. If something is working right, it's like Elon Musk. I don't agree with everything Elon Musk does, but you know what? Elon's got the mentality of, listen, if we're all in the same boat and we can all bail ourselves out, you know, why am I not going to hand somebody else another bucket to help?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, that's not exactly his words is, but
right. And again, I just think that everybody's so concerned with this is what team you're on that they're not really
any of it.
Anything else. And that's it. And that's all. And so, you know what this reminds
me
of?
That felt appropriate. Sorry.
No, absolutely. You know what this reminds me of? Do you remember the old Reese's peanut butter cup commercials?
Yes,
where
I do.
Two people would walk down the street and one would have chocolate, one would have peanut butter. Although I don't know that I've ever seen anybody eating peanut butter walking down the street while getting somewhere else. Anyway.
And holding a chocolate bar blatantly out like this. I love chocolate. It's delicious. Right. I can't wait to put this in my mouth. But
right. Back in the day, peanut butter gets in the chocolate gets in the peanut butter. Hey, your peanut butter got in my chocolate. They would eat it, and then like everybody was happy because it tasted so good.
It was amazing. Your chocolate's in my peanut butter.
If they made this commercial, if they made this commercial today, this commercial would end up in two guys beating the living snot out of each other because they got their peanut butter in their chocolate and their chocolate in their peanut butter. They wouldn't even taste it and not even care. It's like, you ruined my chocolate. No, you ruined my peanut butter. I just, it's unfortunate. That's where we are today, you know? Yeah. And look beyond, while I get politics is such a sensitive issue, and because it is very relevant in how we live our lives, and how we go along day to day. Yes, it is a very, very important issue that if someone doesn't align with you, you could say, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but
that's your opinion.
Yeah, it's your opinion. And you know what? If that certain political way works for you and how you live your life, that's great. Yeah. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. But again, we have to look past it when you're looking at something like the podcast movement, where it's like, come on, no, this guy's a titan of podcast industry.
Right.
And man, if I were there and I saw him behind that counter, I would definitely vie for a little bit of that guy's time just to see how he did it.
Right. And just to ask a couple quick relevant questions, whether he can't even give you the time or whatever, but hey, I got my 5 minutes with this guy because He knows what he's doing.
Right. And the
And
fact
that's
that
what he was there for.
Right. And the fact that he was there unannounced, and like if I walked up to that booth and saw him there, and it's not just some intern handing out pamphlets, like I would be like, oh, wow.
Even though he looks like an intern that should be handing out pamphlets.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So anyway, you know what? I mean, podcast movement, you should have just said, hey, you know, it was a special, it's sort of a special, but again, right now, the climate doesn't allow that. You can't necessarily own up. And unfortunately, the team that he plays for, the team that he boosts up is media friendly at the moment.
Yeah, well, none of that is, I mean, that was the thing, like I said, and that's what I kept reiterating over in my post was, you know what, you guys, you're taking this totally the wrong direction. Now you're just fighting with each other to fight. I said the whole idea was just to wake up to the fact that podcast movement, who created this huge, wonderful forum for us, started segregating right off the bat. Day one. Yeah. And that was a huge mistake. I just, again, you know, as a guy who doesn't make a lot of money and, you know, wants to be able to attend these kind of things, I'm glad I didn't go, because now I know that there was a lot of bias. Right. And that's what upset me the most. And whether, you know, here it is at this point, politics or whatever, it's, and I mean, we were talking about this before the show the other day in our little meeting about, you know, the Reese's peanut butter commercial, because it's and yes, you're right. If they had that commercial on the air today, there would be protests everywhere. You know,
right?
Oh, no peanut butter, no peanut butter, no
movement,
chocolate,
the anti-chocolate movement.
Right. Yeah. Which, you know, now we're going to be called racist because we're talking about chocolate for some reason, I'm sure.
But, right. No, absolutely. Yeah. No, Kit Kat's going to ban the show.
The left or the right side?
Both.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, we're going to have a unified Kit Kat party.
Exactly.
But see, then we unify.
Man, that would be hilarious if we get sponsored by right Kit Kat and not left Kit Kat.
I'm making a phone call.
Man. All right.
I am writing that down.
Look, all right.
I got my.
So the bottom line here is people, just keep your chocolate out of other people's peanut butter.
Well, or just, you know what? No, mix it up. Mix it up, baby.
Right. Yeah.
Like peanut butter chocolate ice cream. I'm telling you, it's a dream come true. People live for these things. Exactly. All right, guys. So listen, I think we've made our somewhat of a point. You know, everybody just get along. It's like I say at the end of every show. Let's all be good to each other. Let's get along. Let's take care of each other, because we're all we've got. Okay. So on that note, I got a guy, fighting the good fight, and that'd be our guest today from Stop Trafficking Project, Mr. Russ Tuttle. There he is right there. Ladies and gentlemen, Russ Tuttle. I didn't have my applause, but hey.
Andy, you can stop clapping now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
He's filling in because
I was going to wait.
Because there's no clap track.
No, we do, as a matter of fact. I was waiting for that to come in, but apparently, there's been some issue with.
I think there was a trickle down of the scalding hot coffee into that element of the technology. Typically, what it does is singes the hair on your leg first, and then it just like permeates and destroys everything that it can destroy.
Well, it's got to soak through the suit pants first, and then into the melding flesh underneath. And but it's delicious. PJ's roast.
Delicious
35.
PJ's coffee. There we go.
It's a good thing.
And every time we say PJ's coffee, we drink. So it's not a drinking game. It's we're getting paid by these people, so we just want you to know we love you. Hey, Ronald St. Felix, thank you so much for joining the show. That's true. People are offended so easily. There is no room to learn. There is room to learn. There is room to learn. You just have to be open for it, man. All right. So, Russ, welcome to the show, sir. I'm so glad you were able to. I'm sure you've been running crazy all day, haven't you?
A little bit, yeah. And this is so if there's ever something that people ought to be able to unite around, it
Yeah.
should be around keeping kids safe.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Oh my
You
God.
would
Then,
think.
Right.
And that was my naive perception going into this as well. But the problem is maybe, and that's why I'm really happy to be on your show today, because too many people, they start from the premise that this whole deep, dark thing we're going to talk about today could never happen to their kid.
Right.
Like that's not my kid, not the kids in my kid's school, or not the kid on my kid's whatever team, or my kid's whatever band or orchestra or church or whatever. Not my kid. And that's one of the biggest
not
things.
in my backyard.
Yeah,
Right.
you would think we could unite people around that, but the reality is that it's more of an uphill battle than you would think to kind of get people to that. But I'll tell you what, it's an honor to be able to be one of the many voices speaking into this world. Because random thing. It was Labor Day weekend. We just came through. I hope everybody listening had a little time off, right?
Yeah.
Took a little time off. I was down in Branson, Missouri.
Oh,
Okay.
Right, goofing off, riding some roller coasters, having a good time.
Yeah.
And decided I was going to go someplace for a hamburger. Went into Branson. They bill themselves as the most famous hamburger in the region. This tiny little place, and the cars everywhere. I got to tell you, I've never waited an hour and a half for a hamburger before, right? In French fries.
Dude, that better be a daggum good hamburger is all I'm saying.
It was a cheeseburger with a milkshake.
Yes.
So I was going all healthy, right? It was 100% health. Turns out that probably isn't really the reason why my steps were ultimately directed to be there, right? Because in conversation, sitting there waiting on a Saturday night at this famous burger joint in Branson, having ridden roller coasters all day, is this innocuous little comment. So what do you do? From this family sitting there that's multi-generational. Grandma and grandpa are sitting there with their daughter, and that daughter's daughter, and that daughter's son. So you have 5 generations. You have grandma, grandpa with their daughter, their granddaughter, the great-grandson, right?
Okay.
So, of course, when we tell people what Stop Trafficking is about, ending domestic minor sex trafficking before it starts.
Right.
By disrupting the exploitation of the grandma says, my granddaughter was trafficked, and it happened to be the girl sitting right there with her little 2-year-old son.
Oh, wow. Whoa.
And I'm just there to ride roller coasters and
you're like, I want a cheeseburger
and wait an hour and a half for hamburger and cheeseburger and drink a milkshake. And next thing, and this, so to your comment, Christian, not my backyard.
Yeah.
Right. Not my kid, not in the community where I live in.
Right.
Here's this girl literally right there. And as her story unpacked, everything that we've been about over the many years since we started the Stop Trafficking Project to do something, right? I've got to do something to end this crisis that American kids protected by American law are being sold for sex in America. Like, are you even kidding me?
Yeah.
And as this girl's story unpacked, it started with social media. She was on Instagram.
Yeah.
And you unpack her story, and her dad had died at a young age. And in her own words, she said, I've always been looking for an adult male figure in my life.
Right.
And so Instagram's this great place to meet amazing people, right? I mean, these kids, you can meet it, right? It's amazing. Everything's awesome online. Everything's safe and everything's great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's just online. I mean, it's not like,
And especially when you connect with a teacher at your school that you actually know.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, and he went full perv mode on her, and then it translates, as it always does. See, these are the patterns of how our kids are getting caught up in this stuff. Moved from it's not just online, and now I've got these pictures of you that I'm going to use against you if you don't meet me in person. So there's a teacher, right? And so now, and it's a slippery slope as it continues down this horrific trajectory to where I got to tell you, there's something special about this girl. I only met her Saturday night, and we're going to have more conversations soon. And she said, I've never met anybody about you who actually saw me and actually heard me because you actually listened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, everybody I've talked to, what my story's been, she says, I can't talk to people. Nobody believes me.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though law enforcement was involved, even all these different entities, right? So this kind of goes to the whole, right? I mean, if you're gonna spill coffee on your leg and describe it, at least most people have done something similar, right?
Right.
So we have some kind of a connection point there to discuss this issue of, wait a minute. So in our minds, we can kind of connect the dots that, yeah, there's this horrible thing called human trafficking on a global scale that's like 150 to 200 billion dollar a year industry and profit. Like there's more people in slavery today.
Is that what we're estimating at now? 200 billion?
That's the conservative figure is 150 billion dollars. More and more people are now saying it's 200 billion. You know it's higher than that, right?
It's got to be higher than that.
Got to be higher than that. So we kind of have this, okay, it happens in those exotic countries over there like India and Cambodia and Thailand. So, you know, we can kind of wrap our minds around that. Cause like I've never been on a podcast and burned my leg through my pantsuit with coffee. So like, can't, but I have burned myself or spilled things like from my Quick Trip drink in my car driving and made a mess everywhere. So we can all kind of relate this, right? So, okay. So most, like a lot of us on this podcast, like we haven't really probably traveled a whole bunch of like those exotic countries and seen human trafficking, but we know about it. And then there's this, okay, so it's this horrific thing happening on the southern border, and we're hearing about that. And if we're listening to the right people, we understand just the absolute travesty of justice that's happening by allowing the borders to be wide open, and the hundreds of thousands of kids that are coming across, and they are pawns in the hands of human traffickers.
Oh yeah.
And so we can kind of connect the dots, but it's like, okay, but unless I've actually burned myself or spilt the drink on myself, I don't really, but I can totally relate to what you just explained there. And this is the problem. Like very few people could go, yeah, I absolutely know what that girl in Branson.
Right.
But the thing is, she wasn't from Branson. She's from like my community where I live, and I'm not going to name it right now. Because I'm making
just to be safe. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so not in my backyard, really? Oh, actually in my backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
like actually, and that's kids that I know and that we're connected to. And this is our story through the Stop Trafficking Project. I mean, that kind of a story happens to me all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've heard you speak before, so I know what you're talking about, and that's the thing that just, it still blows me away to this day. Even as much as you've made it a presentation in front of everyone, everybody's like, that can't happen here. Oh, that only happens over in Japan, or that only happens down in Mexico. No, that happens right down the street. That happens in the schoolyard right outside your house. That's right next to your kid that's in the high school over there. They're over there at the bowling alley. They're everywhere. Okay. And they are preying on you. There's videos out there now showing how easily people try to take kids. I mean, and you know, I push these out. I show them to my kids. I'm like, look, this is why I always say you're looking 360 degrees all over, everywhere. You're a gyroscope when you're out there, you're paying attention, because, and it happens like that. And then you're gone. You're literally, they're gone. And what's the statistics? It's within the first 48 to 24, 48 hours. If they don't find them by then, it's down to less than 75% recovery.
Yeah, that's for kids who are runaways. And, you know, so one of the tragedies is that I think a lot of people have a little bit of this almost like glorified, like the movie Taken, right?
Right.
All these kind of things of our understanding of human trafficking and stuff like that. And so it's like, all we got to do to solve this is, you know, get all the guns we've got and go hurt bad people and rescue the kids. It's like, so here's the problem. And it's one of the reasons why I think people feel like not my kid or any kid in my area that I could even remotely care about. It's because we have a little bit of a false narrative going on about what sex trafficking of kids in America looks like. And one of the challenges is that we think it's all about abduction.
Okay.
And it is actually not about abduction. It's actually about seduction.
Oh, okay.
And the seduction is primarily happening with these amazing devices right here. Right. I mean, it's like, so not against technology at all. Like how cool is this? Like I didn't see it happen, but I know because you told me you burned yourself with hot coffee. Like, man, my life is so much more enriched today knowing that you burned your leg with coffee and I saw it happen. Like, this is amazing. Only technology could connect us in this way, right? I mean, there's no okay, so the problem is so kids are logging into these amazing devices that were not designed for kids. Like, social media was not something constructed for kids.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
So the mental health issues our kids are going through because there's just this massive information bombarding them on these devices in their most cognitive stages of development, like as their brains are developing. Like, there's just this, and so we're seeing all these mental health issues. Okay, so there's something going on here. Okay, so there are perverts, predators, and pimps preying on our kids when they're online, right? So not preying for our kids, preying on them, right?
Yeah.
So
not this kind of praying, but
definitely not that kind of
praying.
Yeah. So the challenge then becomes is we think that sex trafficking is about, creepy van pulls up, abducts this kid off the street, drives him to some warehouse somewhere, ties him to a radiator, and then like the most unthinkable things are happening to this kid. Okay, so that happens in instances. That's not what's normal. What's normal is what happened to the little girl I just met in Branson at a burger joint. Is there was a vulnerability in her life, and her particular vulnerability happened to be starving for a dad figure, needed male companionship.
Absolutely.
Right. And the trajectory of this thing was all about seduction. Okay. And I'm not even talking seduction in a sexual sense. I'm talking seduction of, it's about 3 words. It's about the exploitation of vulnerability. What's the vulnerability in this kid that can be exploited? So the teacher gets on their Instagram. He's got her in class. He knows some of her vulnerabilities, right?
Yeah.
Other people who go online. It's kind of like my neighbor across the street. She leaves her garage door open all the time, and she drives off and goes to work. And I'll text her and say, "Hey, are you at home?" No. And she'll go, "Oh no, did I leave my garage door open again?" In all caps. I'm like, "Yes, again." And then she'll go, "Well, could you please shut it for me?" So I run over there and I hit the button and I jump across the little eye thing, so the garage door can shut. So her home is safe. Well, what happens? So if you're not paying attention to each other, there can be some people who their intention is to drive through a neighborhood and they're going to case the neighborhood because they're looking for open garage doors, nobody's home. Because then what they can do, then they can exploit that vulnerability, right? There's nobody home. The garage door's open. I can go in. I can go through a house, take whatever I want, and leave. That's a vulnerability being exploited. So what's happening is we have people casing our kids online.
Right.
Yeah.
And our kids are 8, 18. Doesn't really matter necessarily the age. But poking that kid, what's the boundary that kid's got? Okay. And that's what's called casing. And once it goes beyond casing, that's when the grooming process starts. And what happens is our kids feel like they're so invincible and vulnerable online because I know what I'm doing. I'm 16, or, I know what I'm doing. I'm 12, or I know what I'm doing. My name's, Random, and I'm Mr. Random, and I can burn myself with coffee. Like, I'm invincible, right? Okay, so all these different things. Right? And Andy's like, "Oh my word, how did I get into this?" And so all that crazy stuff going on, right?
He said that since day one.
Since day one, I have no doubt. So on the serious note, they just go, okay, so now there's this level of understanding that, okay, once we break this down, it's not actually about abduction, it's about seduction. And that can take a lot of different routes to get there, to a point to where a kid goes, "I totally trust this person online."
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm willing to do anything and everything that this person tells me not. So here's the thing, guys. I've got a gal we're working with who was groomed for 3 years. And I've got a gal we're working with who was groomed for 8 days.
Yeah.
So they will go to the length of 3 years to try
100%.
and
because she's not the only girl you've got. Listen, so the crass way of talking about sex trafficking kids in America is the crass way of talking about it. So forgive me for talking this way, but kids are just product to be sold.
Yeah.
Right.
They're just product.
I get it.
Okay. And so the only reason we have sex sellers is because we have sex buyers. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And
so PJ's Coffee has amazing coffee, right? It's only going to go so far if people will buy it. Okay, if you want to buy it and dump it on your leg, you go crazy. You whatever you want to do. You want to actually drink it the way it's intended, right? You do that. Okay, but it's a product, right? And the product, once you've purchased that product, you have the right to use that any way you want to. That's the problem with sex trafficking kids in America. Is kids are the product.
Right.
And the only reason we have people selling kids is because there are sex buyers, and that's ultimately where it comes down to. So the reason we started the Stop Trafficking Project, I was like, who's talking to kids?
Right.
Who's actually telling kids that these are areas of vulnerability in your life? So yeah, we train law enforcement, and we talk to sexual assault nurse examiners, and we do legislative things, and talk to business people, and talk to churches and parents and grandparents. But one of our real strategies is to go directly to kids and say, hey guys, you guys are amazing in your online life. I'm actually here to appeal to you to be better. I'm appealing to the hero in all of you.
Yeah.
To make some amazing changes. And here's why. Because my friend who's groomed for 3 years. So she's now a 30-year-old adult female. When she's 13. So go back, right? She's 30. Go back to when she's 13 and think about technology back then.
Yeah. Right?
She literally had the slider phone. Remember the slider phones? Like you slide That's what she has. And doesn't work hardly at all. Right. There's no voice commands. It's this awkward little, and so she's connecting through some kind of in its infancy stages, random Christian show that does things just with literature and here, read a book and let's do a little book report online.
Right.
Totally innocent.
Yeah.
She connects with this guy. They're chit-chatting for 3 years. So she's a girl in our area. He's a dude in Dallas, Texas. So when she's 16 years old, there's 3 years of grooming. And she gets in her car and she doesn't tell anybody because she's kind of mad at mom and dad. And there's all these family things going on. There's all these vulnerabilities, right? She gets in her car and she drives to Dallas.
Yeah.
Because she gets to trust this guy.
Well, right. There's a level of trust that has been groomed over that 3 years that, hey, my parents aren't listening to me, but this person is. So I can go talk to that 100%. Person, and I can guarantee, and I'm guilty of this, and I'm sure, Christian is a little bit as well, but there are people that we interact with online that we feel perfectly comfortable with telling them whatever, right? Just because we feel that they know us and they have an idea of who we are, and all it takes is one little message here and there to say, hey, how you doing today? I'm not doing that great, but then it's something in the brain says, this is a nice person. They just want to see how my day was. Right. Yeah. I haven't met this person face to face. I don't know. I mean, I see a picture, but that could not be what they look like. But
you don't know.
But if I were to tell somebody else about this person, I would describe them as my friend and somebody that I like. Right. And because
you agree with each other, and
and all they did, and you said it here, Russ. All they did was listen. Yep. All they did was listen and confirm, and just say, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, screw your parents for saying that. Why did they say that? And that's the scary part of. Again, like the worst thing social media could have ever done was allow you to tag where you are in your photos.
God,
to tag your location, because there are people that I know that I have met in person where I know exactly where they are day to day. Like it's 2:30 in my neck of the woods. I could tell you where 3 different people are right now.
Yeah. Right.
Just because I follow them online, right?
Yeah.
And that is frightening. It is absolutely frightening. I can't imagine like the level of education that you need to drive home to these kids to tell them, like, be smart. Be smart about what you do. Be smart about what you post. We're not telling you not to post, but be smart. And
in reality, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Because every time I go talk to kids and tell them the story about a group of kids I just talked to last week, they got their own new stories.
Right.
See, there's way too much fresh material all the time. I mean, guys, I was in Branson riding roller coasters, just want to grab a hamburger and
Right.
meet this girl. So
Yeah.
this literally is something that is so prevalent in our society today. And I'll tell you is that the issue driving this and the engine that's feeding all of this sex trafficking. So you think about it. So you got a guy who groomed a girl for 3 years, was willing to wait till she's 16, then drive to Dallas, do unthinkable things to her in a 48-hour time period,
Oh.
and then send her home. Okay, so thankfully he's been arrested, but it's destroyed the rest of my friend's life.
Right.
Yeah.
What causes a guy to do that? What causes a teacher to connect with a student on Instagram that I meet at a burger joint in Branson? What causes a guy, one of my other friends who only groomed for 8 days, what causes a guy to send nude photos of an adult female to a 10-year-old boy who's playing Fortnite?
Yeah.
Right.
And the boy in Fortnite gets this message and say, hey, let's meet in person. And so 10-year-old boy runs away from home, mom and dad at home, is gone for 18 hours hiding in a ditch because he's convinced he's going to meet this image. What causes people to do these things? Well, what we're finding, and even with the kids who are falling into these things, we're finding a massive porn addiction.
Yeah.
Pornography is the engine driving sex trafficking. And the problem is that pornography has become a socially acceptable addiction in America.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it can become very taboo to talk about in the church. It can be very taboo to talk about in a school setting. It can be very taboo to talk about in our businesses, in our places of employment, unless it's crass joking.
Right.
Right.
And it's a difficult issue to deal with. But that's what we're finding. Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City, Missouri is in the top 5% of the entire nation for child sexual assault.
Oh, wow.
Really? Wow.
Assault. Top 5. So yeah. So on average, their sexual assault nurse examiners see 1 to 2 acute cases per day. Well, that means the assault has happened and been examined within less than a week.
Oof.
And what they're finding is the sexual assault nurse examiners.
Hold on. 1 to 2 a day?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
And that doesn't count the situations where the assault has happened and then they've come in and done the rape kit test or whatever physical exam is happening in that hospital after a week. That's not even counting those.
Wow.
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 Yeah. So the challenge there then becomes is that what the nurses are finding, of course, there's so many different reasons why kids are doing this, but in their interviews and talking to kids, the pornography comes up all the time.
Yeah. Because they have such easy access to it.
100%.
Oh.
So now it becomes even more of a sticky wicket situation to discuss, because now you're going to talk about not my kid, not my neighborhood, not my whatever organization.
Right.
And this is the issue why it's creating this. So a lot of times what I get from men who struggle with this issue in their life for whatever reason is they don't want to touch this, because a lot of times there's a sense of guilt. And my message to them is there's no guilt in this. There's no shame in this. You have to understand the way the science of the brain works. Like, this is not a shame thing. Okay. Now there should be massive consequences for people who are enacting out their desires on children through the crime of sex trafficking and all these different things. There has to be massive, and we're lagging behind in those areas too. When it just comes down to the tangible effects of what kind of laws do we have, and what kind of does the prosecuting attorney, are they even willing to tackle this? Are they willing to take this on? Law enforcement did their job, made the arrest, but now what? I mean, there's so many challenges with this. Ultimately, who's caring about the kid right now?
Right.
Who's going to stop caring about the kid? So, so one of the things that our team's going to be doing here pretty soon, the next few months, is going into juvenile detention centers. Almost every time we go to juvenile detention centers, it's close to almost every kid. And a lot of times that can be a revolving door of the number of kids go through there. Engaging in survival sex, done it.
Oh, sure.
Had to do something for a family member,
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
And so if there's any force, fraud, coercion involved, and there's anything of value traded, and people typically think it's money. So we got this wrong. We got this false narrative: abduction, people making money. Okay, so it's actually about seduction, and the seduction is what's drawing this kid in online to make me put myself out there vulnerable. As you said, Andy, there's people we talk to online that we just like totally trust. I have kids telling me all the time. Well, I recently had this girl, and she was like, she came to me at the end of the assembly, and she had a ton of attitude, right? She walked up, she got my personal space. She's like, Mr. Tuttle, I just want you to know that I am super safe online. And I was like, break out the confetti, yay!
Yeah,
right.
You win.
Nothing from me, but other than I'm glad you came and talked to me, and so it was a cry for help. Right. I know kids, right?
Right.
We've done these presentations to over 70,000 students now. And so really what it was, I met this amazing guy online. It's the same old story, guys. It's the same. It's the patterns are always there. But here's the interesting thing. As I began to unpack her story, I kept saying, yeah, but do you actually know this person? Well, he sends me these pictures. I know, but do you know him? But okay, unpack this. She finally admits that she felt like she knew him because they've been communicating for almost 6 months.
Right.
She's never met this person in person.
Right.
Turns out that this girl from the Midwest was in process of trying to figure out how to get a one-way airplane ticket to Morocco. You don't know your geography very well? That's in Africa, right?
Yeah.
Northern Africa.
Wow.
So she's okay. So it's all about the exploitation of vulnerability, right? It's not about abduction. It's about seduction. To where these kids are willing to just kind of walk away from how bad my life is here because I'm going to have this amazing life online because I know what I'm doing. I'm 16 years old and everything's amazing and awesome online, right? The coffee doesn't even hurt when I burn my leg. Okay, it's all good. Fake, like this fake reality, right? And that's part of the problem is that online life of kids through the gaming industry, which we're not against, through amazing graphics, which we're not against, is creating this fantasy world for kids.
Right. Well, yeah, and some of those games are getting way out of control too, but that's a whole nother.
So far out of control.
Yeah.
So what's amazing is when we have kids come to us at the end of assemblies, and in as many words, they will say to us, "Thank you for telling us the truth. I have my own story to tell you."
Right.
Yeah.
And can you help me? Can we talk? And it runs the gamut of all these different. So it's really such an honor and a privilege to be able to do that. But before we go talk to the kids, we talk to the adults surrounding that school community first.
Oh, yeah.
So we're pulling together. So we're pulling together first and foremost law enforcement, other first responders. We're looking for counselors that are part of that school. We're looking for medical professionals. So in some of your rural communities, sometimes that might be through, like the local health community or like a regional something, and it's in a larger town, they've got their own school nurses, and so there's all these different ways to do that. But and then we're looking for members of the faith community, we're looking for key leaders within the school, and then we're looking for moms, dads, foster parents, grandpas, y'all come adults. And the goal is that we educate and empower those adults to the reality of what your kids are actually facing online.
Right. And now when you say you're talking about your Stop Trafficking Project. Okay.
Yeah, the Stop Trafficking Project, our 501c3.
Right, which I've got all sorts of ways to get a hold either of if you know of a human trafficking situation, there's a hotline crawler going on down here. If you need to get a hold or find out about the Stop Trafficking Project, I've got their Twitter, their Facebook, their Instagram, and Russ's email right going on down here. So write it down if you need it. Make the phone call if you need to, if you know of a situation or whatever. If you have questions, these people will help you. Russ can find somebody to help you wherever you're at. Okay. These are national, and obviously the interweb is international. So, and I know we do have I know it may not seem like it, but we do have a big audience overseas as well. So, but now when you're talking about using this project, and you're saying you have a whole game plan before you go into a town, don't you? You like you're saying you go to the police department, you get a game plan, then you circle it as you bring your circles in tighter and tighter with people backing you as you go in, and then you present yourself to the kids. Is that correct? Or do you have a different way of how you're doing that?
Yeah, no, that's correct. And so, so when I first found out that this was an issue, it was kind of like somebody's got to do something.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I found, there's a lot of organizations starting homes for victimized persons, which we need way more of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Counselors, laws. There's so many. My heart was, I don't want a kid to ever get in this situation ever in the first place. And that's why the simplest version of our vision is end it before it starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so 100% of the kids that we work with who are victims of the actual crime of domestic minor sex trafficking, 100% of the time, it starts online and mistakes are made.
Right.
So I'm trying to put all this together, go, let's boil that down to, that's a vulnerability. What's the process through all the different stories of how that kid then finally goes, okay, I'm going to take my clothes off and send you the hot pic because it's going to be this amazing life and you're begging me to. And I, 12 or I'm 16, whatever, I'm invested. And so now the picture's used against them and then they go and meet them in person. Those are the patterns every single time. So I'm like, let's talk to kids about that.
Yeah.
Right.
In a fun way, in a way that gets their attention, in a way that appeals to the hero in them, that doesn't go, you dumb kids, what are you doing? Because that's nobody's motivated by that.
Right.
Right.
And you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And that's why I was so out of the Stop Trafficking Project when we started the nonprofit. Then it was like, okay, now what? Great, we've got a nonprofit. Yay, problem solved. Okay, now we got to actually have a strategy.
Not
and so
necessarily.
over years of trial and failure, we landed on this strategy that we call the Be Alert strategy. And alert is an acronym for we want people and individuals and organizations to be alert, active, learning, empowered, relentless, together. We're not in this alone. So what happens when an overwhelmed parent experiences what the parents did of the people I met in Branson at a burger joint when this happened to their granddaughter or their daughter? And now she's in a place where she's coming out of this and meets someone randomly in a burger joint, and finally somebody who gets it. Now we're not alone in this. Now it's together.
Yeah.
And this is what we're rallying our schools and our churches around. And so it's a system through a nonprofit called the Stop Trafficking Project. We have a strategy we call the Be Alert strategy, and it's to educate and empower, to be active, learning, empowered, relentless, together. And we're doing that for adults and students. And it's all laser focused on the vision to end it before it starts. And everything we do for the foundation of our messaging, doesn't matter if I'm talking to law enforcement officers or kindergartners in a school assembly, because we do age appropriate kindergarten through 12th grade, different assemblies.
Wow.
The foundation of that message
is
the foundation of that message for me is about the exploitation of vulnerability. That's not the language I use with kids.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Because that's boring.
Right.
Yeah. Well, boring and a little shocking to the parents. What'd you do today? I learned about how a man shows me his penis on the internet. Okay,
right.
Well, we're making a call to the principal right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm interested in after these talks with kids, have kids come up to you? And I know you said the one girl came up and said, I'm perfect online, but have kids come up to you and shown you like their social feeds and say, hey, is this person grooming me?
What?
All the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, you just
have you heard of Tinder?
Yeah.
Yeah. So probably everybody here. So do you think second grade girls should have Tinder? Okay. Probably. No. Hopefully nobody. Okay. So I get done with the school assembly where we're not even naming apps. We're not even talking about, but a little girl in second grade walks up and shows me her Tinder account.
Oh my
And
goodness.
she has 17 adult men who she has an account with. All of them know it's obvious that she is in second grade. Every single one of them are trying to get her to take her clothes off and send pictures and then meet them in person. She's in second grade.
Are you kidding me? Are these parents do they really get that disassociated with their children?
Careful.
What?
Careful. So not all of our kids have mom and dad at home.
Right.
Well, that's true. Okay.
And so in this situation, it was actually dad had blown the family up with his porn addiction.
Oh, wow.
Left his family. He's a deadbeat, not paying child support.
Yeah. No wonder she found Tinder.
Here's how the conversation started with this precious little blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl at the end of an assembly before we jump straight to Tinder.
Okay.
She comes to me. Hey, can I talk to you? Yeah, sweetheart, you can talk to me. Can you please talk to my mom and tell her to put her phone down long enough to look me in the eye and talk to me?
Oh, wow.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah, so this is glam life I'm living, right? Because this is, everybody signs up for this. This is really this is great stuff.
Right.
Every comedian out there loves to do this. Okay, so well, sweetheart, I don't know your mom, but let's dig deeper because I know this. There's always more than meets the eye.
Right.
Yeah.
There is always more than meets the eye. And it comes back to me for 3 words: exploitation of vulnerability. Okay, the vulnerability in this girl right now is not quite sure yet.
Yeah.
A little ticked off at mom. Well, sweetheart,
Right.
well, let's talk. Okay, so here's the short version of this story, right? So turns out because of the situation in the home, the one time that mom didn't put the phone down and talk to her daughter at school was because she's working 3 jobs.
Yeah.
Right.
Because of deadbeat dad. And she had this job she was doing from home. And the second grader just happened to catch mom in that moment. Okay, well, that's the one. She's a second grader. That's what she's going to remember because that hurt right now. And I'm mad at my mom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So now you unpack the rest of the story. And the long story short is mom didn't even know daughter had a cell phone.
Wow.
Dad, who got visits on the weekends,
Got her a cell phone.
had a revolving door of ladies.
Mm,
And he just
okay.
kind of wanted to have the daughter because he's the dad. And so you go in that room and you just here's a phone.
right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And we'll chat later. And so here's how this works. So because we got into the community the night before, and we pulled together all those elements, right? Law enforcement, the other first responders, counselors, medical professionals, faith community, teachers, other people, moms, dads, y'all come.
Right.
School counselor, I'm like, hey, we got a situation here. Here's what this little girl's going through. And we're going to have you have a conversation. And so long story short, judge finds out what the deadbeat dad's doing, pulls him in court and says, would you like to go to jail or would you like to get caught up on child support? There's nothing in the divorce proceeding that allows you to give her a cell phone without your ex's permission. So here and on that story goes. So there's more here than meets the eye.
Yeah.
Right. It just keeps snowballing.
It's not bad kid. You're second grade. You have a Tinder account. There was a vulnerability that could be exploited. So she just happens to stumble onto this app. And there's really nice people on there. And there's all these guys, and they're really nice to me. Okay, they're casing her until now they're grooming her.
Right.
And now the pressure's on. Imagine, guys, if I had not met that girl till 4th grade.
Oh. Oh gosh.
No, that's God.
Just saying, as the patterns go, by the time now she's in 4th grade, because what they're telling me now is the average age that kids are sexting, okay, that the kids who are engaged in sexting, where they're taking the pictures of sharing naked pictures, that's what sexting is, in case anybody on here doesn't know that.
Yeah.
The average age that's starting now is kind of around, generally speaking, between the summer of 4th and 5th grade.
Oh. Wow. Wow.
Well, think about it. It makes sense because those are the ages younger than that we're giving kids these devices. I'm not against this device.
Right.
Like, this is not the enemy, right? This technology, this is not the enemy, right? But we have to admit technology is creating tremendous complexies in the lives of our families and our churches.
Yeah. This thing right here, it's phenomenal how it can easily, it can be so incredibly useful, but yet it can be so incredibly destructive. And it takes nothing. It's just
so let me jump back to that false narrative about the creepy van abducting somebody, and that's what sex trafficking is.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's about seduction, and this is the creepy van.
Right.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for a certain generation that needs to compute that, this is what I want them to understand. I'm not against people driving vans.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not against people having phones.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not against people spilling coffee on their leg. Right. So whatever you got to do. Okay. PJ's coffee.
Yeah, there we go. And now I will just say I also the grooming process is amazingly the seduction and everything, because my 2 younger daughters were being groomed, and I caught it.
Wow.
And
Wow.
it was amazing. The lady that that's as far as I'm going with it. The lady that was doing it, I confronted her over the phone because I couldn't get to meet them personally. But
Yeah.
I mean, my daughters had been with this lady and spent the night with this lady, because she has a kid. She used the kid to help seduce him. But they were fully
Right.
convinced they were bisexual. They convinced my one daughter, she was a boy, and that it was okay to do these things. And I I confronted her over the phone, and in a message, I flat out said, "You will not be near my kid. You will not do that." And I laid down the law. And then they very boldly and very crassly came back at me, attacking me, saying I was the problem and I was the reason that those kids were coming. I'm like, wow, you just have a huge pair, and I'm about to go find you and clip them off. I mean, I
And
didn't,
that's
I
classic
didn't do
victim
that,
blaming, right? It's classic
but
victim
yeah,
Yeah.
blaming. It was
they
just
just
so
tried to
classic.
turn it around on me, and I'm sure there's a lot of people go, "Oh, wow, you're right. It is my fault. Oh, okay." And then they back off. I was not having it, and she, all through all her threats, never showed, never came back, never did a thing, never called, never did anything. And I just thank God above that that's the way it's been. And they've come out of it. There's still some struggles, but it is amazing how quickly and how powerful that they get swooped up in it.
Yeah.
And it was just, I
And,
mean,
and the reason for that is so think about how the frontal vortex of the human brain is not fully developed till you're 25 years old, right?
Right.
So that's the science of the brain, and that's where kids make good decisions.
okay,
So now
Right.
we're bombarding the frontal cortex of their brain with all this other stuff.
right.
And so it doesn't excuse kids, but no wonder they're doing they're in their half brain stage of life,
Yeah.
right? And that's not a put down to kids. Like,
No.
in parts of our
No,
school assemblies,
they're learning, they're developing.
there's actually a part of their school assemblies where we unpack the science of the brain to help kids understand what they're going through. And I
Yeah.
actually have them turn to each other and say, "Okay, you're all scientists right now. Look each other. I make a scientific statement. Your teacher going to love this." And they look and they say, "You're just a half brain."
Right.
And they do that. They say that, and you know what they do next? They bust up laughing. You know why?
Right.
Because they're half brains.
Right. Andy
Yeah.
says that to me all the time.
All the
Yeah.
time.
Okay. So Andy's
right.
Andy's got his own issues. I mean,
Right.
Thank you.
Speaking speaking of which, I have never met Christian face to face. He has been grooming me for several months before he got me online here.
Oh,
he
no,
might
no,
not
no.
even be who you think he is.
Exactly.
It's
right.
possible.
Yeah. This could all
So
just
actually,
be
I can't
I
attest to that because I have met him in person. So
Oh, okay. All right.
You're all
okay.
right,
Well,
Andy.
thank you. No, I appreciate that then. Okay, good.
You're
The
safely
police will
checked.
not come to your residence then, Christian.
Yeah, well,
not
good
for those
them.
reasons anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I have I mean, I mean, amazing story aside, how busy are you guys after your talks with schools? Like, I mean, I'm curious as to how many kids feel empowered after these talks to come up and say, "Hey, I need some help." I mean, and is it more than you would think? Is it less than you would think? I mean, what's that like?
Well, I don't know. You tell me. I'm the wrong person to ask, but here's a recent example. I went to a middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. There were 427 kids in the school.
Yeah.
And at the end of the adult evening presentation, because in this particular school, 95% of the school population, they're either in foster care or they're being raised by grandparents or they're couch surfing.
Okay.
95% of the school. So all those are all things that raise the vulnerability in kids, right?
Sure.
Right.
By the end of my evening adult presentation, they were meeting and they had identified 40 kids in their school that they were pretty sure were victims.
Wow.
The next day, I went to the school assembly, and it was about 90 minutes that I spent in the library, and kids were just lined up to talk to me nonstop, one after the other. And here's an example. A little girl walks up and I say, "Hey, sweetheart, what's your name?" She goes, "I don't have a name. I just identify as 0."
Oh God.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's always more here than meets the eye, right? So you unpack her story, and
Good
you
Lord.
can see all the influence. You can see all the influence of what's happening in
Yeah.
her life. And
Right.
so for me, it's about 3 words. It's about the exploitation of vulnerability. The vulnerabilities of this girl are screaming at me. Okay, but the
Right.
cool thing is, if we've done that, we've done our strategy, right? So we're a nonprofit with a strategy and a message, right?
Yeah.
And so we know it's working. And so because the strategy had happened, I had trusted adults I'd met and trained the night before. I knew exactly who to have this kid talk to. Because here's the thing, your question is, how busy are we afterwards?
Yeah.
The follow-up is nonstop year-round
Right.
from every presentation we go to. Sometimes law enforcement has to be involved, sometimes a nurse, sometimes it's just as simple as a pat on the back. "Man, thanks for sharing your story. I'm glad you're doing better now." Um,
Right.
but the real thing is, we're leaving and we're going to the next community. And
Right.
Right.
so what we hear often is the school counselors were buried for the next 3 weeks.
No, sure.
We
Yeah.
had to have
After you've been there,
after we've been there. And so one of the things that we do is we actually have students in 6th grade and up. We don't do it for the younger kids just by the nature of what is on the survey. We actually have kids, we go old school. Here's a half sheet of paper with a pen or pencil, check the box.
Yeah.
And we are measuring vulnerabilities. We are
Right.
measuring, and here's the question. Have you met a complete stranger in person you met online?
Yeah.
Dude.
After the presentation, do you think that's still a good idea?
Right.
Are you sending nudes through social
Yeah.
media and other online platforms? Having heard the presentation, do you still think that's a good idea?
Right.
What's your engagement with pornography? Somebody showed it to me. I found it by accident. I look for it on purpose. Those are 3 categories of vulnerabilities that we process the data, send that back to the schools, to the trusted adults. It goes, here's how many 6th graders said they were engaging in these activities
Right.
and the impact of the presentation. And so here are all the tips that you now need, and other resources and
Right.
curriculums and websites and everything that's out there to guide you as you now process and help the kids in your school or church or wherever we were just at to get that
Wow.
survey data. That's
Yeah.
what actually sets us apart from just going in and giving information. Because I'm
Right.
not going to lie, any monkey can give information. It doesn't mean
Right.
it's good. It doesn't mean it impacts.
Right.
It doesn't mean
Yeah.
it connects
Right.
with anybody.
Yeah.
But you can put information out there. Our goal is to give relevant, truthful information that makes an immediate impact. Like in
Yeah.
that moment, we want the kid to line up and come tell us their story. Like,
Yeah.
I need help now. I'm in 2nd grade. I've got a Tinder account, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We want them to line up and tell their story so we can get them immediate help. But we want long-term influence. And that's
Yeah.
only going to happen after we leave. We're not coming in as the one-day wonders and we've solved your problems with this issue in your community. We're starting that
Right.
conversation after we've educated and empowered the adults in that community to step up and be the trusted adults that their kids need. Because, guys, it's not just about the technology. The real
Yeah.
issues that it's about is loneliness in our
Right.
kids.
Yeah.
This is
Absolutely.
the most
Because
connected generation ever. It's the loneliest generation we've ever seen.
Right. Yeah.
It's about feeling isolated. Kids feel
Yeah.
isolated for so many different reasons. It's about the levels of depression that are skyrocketing
Yeah.
amongst
Yeah.
our kids. It's about
Absolutely.
suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a whole
It's
new
out of
ball of
control.
wax on top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I had a
Let's.
girl in
Hey,
7th grade. You got to do something else.
I was gonna say let's take a quick break because I want to come back and I want to talk about the suicide aspect and all this.
Yep.
Because yeah, these are huge keys factors in all of this and how it factors into what everybody's stuck in. These kids, just it's amazing what they are, what triggers them and how it comes through. I'm going to leave the crawler up for anybody watching or listening. We'll give the number and all the sites and stuff again here when we come back. But we've got Russ Tuttle with us from the Stop Trafficking Project. We're going to take quick break because of delicious scalding hot PJ's coffee. If you make it that way, then don't spill it on yourself. But they're going to be talking to us here in just seconds. So wanted to get our little sponsor their time, and then we'll be right back. Okay, sound good? And I just got to find the right coffee update. There it is. Random Christian Show is now sponsored by PJ's Coffee of New Orleans, specializing in small batch roasted coffees and teas and delicious beignets and baked goodies. Now, obviously, the coffees are mind-blowingly amazing, okay? My personal favorite is the Roast 35 in Papua New Guinea because I like the dark roast, but hey, they have a great variety from light to dark and even in decaf. Maybe you want some tea or some chocolate? Well, they've got that in hot or cold as well, and even blended drinks to help beat this summer heat. PJ's offers pour-overs or hot or cold drips, and nothing says PJ's of New Orleans like a beignet. Yeah, that's right. These delicious little morsels from heaven complement any of these beverages or just a munch on alone. PJ's has scones, muffins, bagels, croissants, and sandwiches. Yeah, that's right. My favorite is the Cuban. Muy delicioso. At PJ's of New Orleans, the coffee starts with the selection, and they are finicky, all right? But it shows in the quality and the deliciousness of this coffee. Okay, then they small batch roast it. That's right. They give it the love it deserves for each unique flavor by roast master Felton Jones. PJ's of New Orleans is a small franchise, but they are growing, and they take great pride in their product by doing just that, keeping it small and keeping it under control. Now, there are locations growing throughout the U.S., in Louisiana, of course, Mississippi, Texas, Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, now in New Jersey and Maryland, and out west, they've got Colorado, California, and of course, right here in Missouri and Kansas City, up in Platte City, Missouri. Maybe there's no PJ's Coffee near you. Well, what do? You get on the interweb and you go to pjscoffee.com, and they're also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. You can order the coffees you need right from their website at pjscoffee.com, or you can find a location that's near you and go there and get it yourself along with some delicious food. All right, pjscoffee.com. Check them out, PJ's Coffee of New Orleans. If you mention the Random Christian Show, you're going to get a 15% discount, especially here in Platte City, Missouri. All right, PJ's Coffee of New Orleans. Go to the interweb, pjscoffee.com, order you some coffee or find a location near you. Get your order online and have it ready for you when you get there, or use the drive-thru. All right, PJ's Coffee of New Orleans at pjscoffee.com. Small batch roasted coffee because they care. And we're back with Fighting the Good Fight with Mr. Russ Tuttle. Russ, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your incredibly, I know, busy schedule with the Stop Trafficking Project. So we were in the middle of talking about okay, you're talking about your presentations and stuff that you're giving to all these kids, and the backlash, not in a bad way, but the backlash that these again, you circle the wagons and before you do your presentation. And then these people, you said it's up to 3 weeks afterwards. These people are at the schools or the YMCAs, wherever you're doing these presentations, that they're getting inundated with these kids that are coming up with their stories and stuff. And I know they come up to you because you've told me a few of these stories that are just mind blowing. How you there was one in particular where, I mean, they were within hours of going to meet these people after the presentation at the school. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's happened several times. And, just to kind of give you a little insight into, how things fall together for us sometimes. So let me take you back to August 3rd of 2021. So over a year ago. Yeah. I was in Jefferson City, Missouri, and I was doing a presentation for the Missouri School Board Association. They do it was a statewide school safety conference. And they gave me several hours to kind of talk about this issue. And a superintendent of a really tiny rural community came to me and he said, so he did not have that mentality, not my kid. Right. So, I mean, we're talking such a small rural Kansas community that, you pull in the population list like 168. Okay. So yeah, there's not even a Dollar General around. Okay. That small.
And that's small for Missouri.
That's small. If you live in the Midwest, for those of you overseas, that's really small. Yeah. And, He said, we got to have you come. And so as the calendar worked out, ended up going to that school 2 weeks before Christmas break, winter break of 2021. So it was the middle of December last year. Went in, worked our strategy, talked to the adults, went to the school assemblies, all the different ages, and ended up finding out that in this school, a 5th grade girl and a 6th grade girl were using the Omegle app. So the Omegle app actually invites its users to talk to strangers. That's the push. That's why the app exists.
Lord have mercy.
Okay? It's a video-driven chat app. It invites you to talk to strangers. Now imagine, okay, so you got a girl in 5th grade and 6th grade. So the end of the assembly, I'm the guy there out of town, making him laugh, made him cry, had a good time. He's kind of the cool guy. I'll go talk to him, right? So they revealed to me that they're using school-issued devices during school hours to send naked pictures and videos to some boys, right?
Yeah.
So remember, this started August 3rd. Took me till December to get there, and I'm there on a Wednesday. Just so happened the girls, I know what I'm doing. I'm online.
Right.
It's all good, right? I know what I'm doing. 5th grade,
got this
6th
under
grade.
control.
I know what I'm doing.
Sure.
And so they were going to meet the boys on Saturday. The problem is so when they came forward, and the way that by the nature of our school assemblies and a couple of victim survivor stories we tell and other stories we tell and principles that we give them and appealing to the hero on them, they came forward and said, well, we're actually going to meet these guys on Saturday. Well, it turns out they were not boys. They were 4 adult men, all of them registered sex offenders.
Wow.
Dude.
So it started on August 3rd with the superintendent not saying, not my kid.
Right.
Understanding that the kids in my tiny little community, they're vulnerable to this. You know why? Because of this.
Right.
Right.
Not because they're bad kids.
No.
It's not a matter of that. It's not that we can't trust our kids. We cannot trust what they're encountering online.
Right.
Absolutely.
So what a cool story then to literally end it before it starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For those girls.
Nipped it right in the bud.
And so story after story, one of a really dramatic story came about. We had a little girl come up to me 7th grade, and based on the information that she gave us what had happened, literally the next day, again, because we had been in the community, law enforcement, other first responder, all those people, right? Because they were there, trusted, trained. Yeah. Girl comes up and discloses what was happening. The very next day, they had a guy arrested in jail on $1.3 million bond.
Wow. Holy crap. Day. Just wow. So
that was a morning assembly. And by the end of the school day, 3 more kids had come forward. So the newspaper article the next day said there were 4 victims that this guy had. So he's in jail on $1.3 million bond. The next day, within 8 months during law enforcement, discovered he had 14 kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
14.
All we did was go into a school assembly.
Right. Yeah.
And now you're these presentations. I mean, you're taking an incredibly awkward and again, you're up against the wall walking in there because, like you said, these kids, I know what I'm doing. Oh my gosh,
and you're gonna come talk about the holy grail of my life.
Right.
Messing with my online life.
Right. Yeah. Which is, I mean,
strike 2.
Yeah. And and then you're telling them that, of course, they're wrong, and which no kid, not a teenage, young, whatever, they're going to say, you don't know. And because I have teenagers, I know, and I've had a few before that. So I'm well versed in this, and I used to be a teenager, and I used to think the same thing.
Wait, what? So, you were a teenager?
No, I was born really old, and my mother hates me for it too because
with a coffee cup in your hand.
Pretty much. Well, I spilled my coffee in the womb, which caused a lot of a lot of problems. But it was delicious PJ's coffee. I'll say that. Okay. So these presentations. How do you? I mean, I know you've got to take it in with a grain of salt. You've got to go in and you've got to instantly win this crowd over within the first 30 seconds, or you're right into a wall. So how do these presentations, how do you get this whole ball of wax rolling? and get these kids. Because I mean, I know you don't walk out of there with 100% believers, but I know just from the facts that you've stated and people that have been there, you walk out with a large percentage on your side going, damn, he's right.
100%. Yeah. Every time. Because kids want to be told the truth, right? It doesn't matter. They just want to be told the truth. Doesn't matter what the setting is. They want to be told the truth. And they always tell us that in as many words. So yeah, you got to get there. So obviously a kindergarten presentation is totally different than even 3rd and 4th and 5th grade.
Yeah.
And different than middle school, different than high school. But there is one foundational story that is the same for every age group. Yeah. And so it doesn't matter if it's a really young kid, the principles that we're teaching them in fun ways that are interactive, they're different than what we're going to do for high school and middle school. Right. The foundational story for all the kids was a true story that happened to me where I was drinking a soda product. And as I was chugging this soda, somehow in the bottling process, there was a cockroach in it. And so as I chugged this soda, I ended up with a dead cockroach in my mouth. This is a true story.
Oi.
So I've got a dead cockroach in my mouth. So when I'm in school assemblies, doesn't matter, kindergarten through 12th grade, totally different presentation leading up to the crux of this matter. For me, in the back of my mind, it's all about 3 words. It is about the exploitation of vulnerability. All I want kids to remember is the soda and the cockroach. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's the gist of it. So as we unpack, and guys, I'm making vomit sounds. I mean, we're having fun with this story, right? We are unpacking this in a way that kids relate to. My secret hidden agenda is to try to make the administrators just a little bit nauseous, right? So that's my goal. Like, the sounds you make in the microphone, it's a good time, right?
Yeah.
And the goal being to get the kids' attention. So the teachable moment kind of worked like this. I was in I'm talking about the second burger joint I was in. I was in a burger joint. I got to check my diet.
We're uncovering some behavior here. So, yeah.
And the girl behind the counter is staring at me, and she's like, and I'm like, okay, booger on my nose. Like, what's going on? And so she finally goes, "Are you the cockroach guy?" So I'm like, why?
Which at a restaurant,
a burger joint, yeah. So next thing you know, we got the manager stand. I got people on both sides of the line, and me and this girl are talking about cockroaches. So I'm like, was I in your school? So guys, it had been 1 year and 2 months prior to me ordering my meal that this girl saw me and remembered the cola cockroach. So I said, okay, so I don't want you to get you in trouble. What was the gist of the story? Tell me what was the gist. How's it changed your life? So here's the 40,000-foot gist for you and your audience. A little bit of soda is okay. Too much, not good for you. That represents your online life as a kid.
Yeah.
So in kindergarten, the amount of soda you can drink versus a 12th grader, the amount of online time is different than a 12th grader as well. The cockroach represents anything in my life as a really young kid that makes me feel unsafe.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the way and up through the older kids, lonely, isolated, depressed, suicide, cyberbullying, controlling relationships, pornography.
Right.
All these things. In my mind, I'm thinking exploitation of vulnerability. These are all vulnerabilities. All I'm doing is talking about soda and a cockroach. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so literally the little girl who came to me where the next day, $1.3 million bond, the guy's arrested.
Yeah.
Literally, she said, there's a cockroach in my life. I need help. That's literally what she said.
Wow, dude.
Yeah. So the cool thing is so I'll run into students.
A year and a half later. That's how much this stuck with.
A year and 2 months later.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So I'll go talk to students and they'll say, we decided, even though you didn't name apps, because I name apps with adults. I don't name apps with students, right? Because if by chance that kid hasn't ever heard of Omegle, guess what he's going to do? Check out Omegle. Right. So because they're half brains, and I say that in the most loving way possible.
Right.
So the challenge then is that
was Omegle. What?
Yeah.
No.
Omegle.
Okay. Sorry. Just kidding.
Yeah. Right. And by the way, on our free app that we are in partnership with Relentless Pursuit. I know you had Lee Gibson on not long ago.
Yes,
We
yes,
partnered, Relentless Pursuit and Stop Trafficking. We partnered and put an app together. And on that app, there's all kinds of videos and stuff. And so on our app, it will take you to an app that will let you as an adult know about every app you should know about.
Okay.
Okay. So now what is the name of that app? Where can
it's called it? I'll show you what it looks like. I will pull it up on my phone. The wonders of technology, and you can get it easily through our website. It looks just like that. It's the Stop Trafficking app.
It's got a big red X.
Yep, it's the big red X, and that's exactly what it looks like. It's got all kinds of really cool stuff on there.
Okay.
And then get it off our website. Then you just go in the app store. It's just Stop Trafficking.
Okay, now let's give out the website again real quick. We've got Russ Tuttle from Stop Trafficking Project. Stopping Human Trafficking.
Okay, is the website.
Just stoptrafficking.com.
StopTraffIckingProject.com.
Stop Trafficking. I'm sorry. StopTraffIckingProject.com. Okay. And now just real quickly, since we're doing all this, you can find him on Facebook, Twitter at STP Traffic Proj, Proj. His email is russ@stoptraffickingproject.com. The National Human Trafficking Hotline is 1-888-373-7888. Okay, that's if you know anybody involved or have some kind of questions or anything like that. Call that number, make the phone call. Do not be afraid. You will not be talked down to. I mean, you're going to be talking to somebody probably just like Russ here who just, it's just amazing how you are able to communicate with these kids. Did you do a lot of coaching for this, or did you get a lot of coaching, I should say, or is this just kind of all kind of trial and error how you deal with these kids and whatnot?
No coaching, other than I was a youth pastor for 8 years.
All right.
And
so there is some coaching.
And never grew up, and never completely grew up. Right.
Well,
so
you are in the right place.
I've sensed that immediately the moment we both came on. It's like my people. And so that's one of the cool things. So here's the thing, to communicate with kids in that realm, once you reach a certain age, don't wear holes in your jeans to go talk to them, because now you're just being a dork.
Right.
But be relatable and be a person in their world who you can communicate with them, and you can actually make some impact and changes. So next week I'm going to be going to a school community, and the night before I will educate and empower all the adults, right? Law enforcement, with them. The next morning at 8:00 in the morning, I'll be with a bunch of sleepy high schoolers, 9th through 12th grade. I'll have a 20-minute break, and then I'm doing kindergarten through first grade. Then a 30-minute break, and I'll do 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders and 5th graders. Then the day ends with a group of hyper junior hires, right? Then I will get my car and drive, and I'm going to go do speaking to a group of professionals that evening. And the next day I'll be speaking to law enforcement. So that's a pretty broad group to communicate things to within a less than a 24-hour time period.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to be passionate about this, actually believe that what you're doing works. Because if you don't believe what you're doing works, then you may as well just curl up in the fetal position and cry yourself to sleep every night.
Right.
Scalding hot water, PJ's
or coffee. Yeah. There we go.
All over the top of your bald head. So, actually, Andy has hair.
I do. Yeah.
Okay, so the way it's showing on my screen, your Star Trek thing in the background is doing all kinds of weird things. So that's
right. Yeah, I'm a little fuzzy here and there. If I do this, it goes all crazy.
So in all seriousness, it's really one of the greatest honors of my life. I never dreamt in a million years this is what I'd be doing.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you how rewarding it is when we are able to end it before it starts for a kid.
Right, dude, absolutely. It's got to be just the greatest high ever. Now let's talk some numbers real quick about how you've affected and what the Stop Trafficking Project has done. Do you have numbers that you can throw out to people how you've changed things over the past few years? Because I know there's quite Lee was talking a few numbers and stuff. What has the Stop Trafficking Project done since its inception? How many years ago did it start?
Yeah, so we started this in 2015, but didn't really kind of land on our strategy for the schools, kind of get their momentum going until 2018.
Right.
We had some stuff kind of happening before that, but then 2019 went nuts. And 2019 BC, right?
Right.
Before COVID. COVID, we had 117 cancellations.
Yeah.
A lot of our kids were in lockdown with their perpetrators.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
For a lot of our kids, school is the only safe place where they have some trusted adults.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So there was one school community I was working with, and they said, Russ, once we come out of this and once we open the schools, they were fully anticipating 500 kids to come forward to declare abuse that happened during the lockdown.
Right.
And they had almost 900.
Oh, jeez.
Seriously.
So this isn't about abduction. It's about
Right.
seduction and some of the trafficking happenings within families. All right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The false narrative is money's traded. No, the thing of value that might be traded is maybe you don't get beat tonight.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Or, I'm not going to do this to your sister if you do this or whatever, or your brother or whoever,
so we've been in front of over 160,000 people live.
Right.
I don't even know how to keep track of these kind of settings. Right. It's hard. It's hard to judge all the different podcasts and things like this that we do and online impact. And over 70,000 students now have experienced school assemblies. And we're finally now, I think, coming out of the COVID bubble within schools. A lot of the schools that were still opening up to us during COVID, and especially last year in 2021, were a lot of the smaller rural schools are kind of like, we're out here, we do our own thing, just whatever.
Right.
So that was kind of how things were working then. Increasingly now, the schools are opening up more. I tell you, administrators are increasingly understanding this is an issue. I'll tell you who knows it's an issue are the school resource officers,
Right.
school nurses, the school counselors. Administrators know it's an issue, but they're a little bit afraid of what the parents might say.
Right.
So that's why we exist to end domestic minor sex trafficking before it starts by disrupting the exploitation of vulnerability. We don't contact schools and say, hey, you want a presentation about sex trafficking?
Right.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Are you having trouble with kids in their online lives? Yeah. Okay, do you really understand the link between their online life and the potential worst case scenarios? That's what we want to unpack by educating and empowering your adults first, and then appealing to the hero and your kids. And honestly, this is what's been working. So those are kind of our numbers. And so generally speaking, I haven't seen the latest numbers that we've run, but it was about 38% of kids who've been surveyed in Kansas and Missouri, 6th grade to 12th grade, have indicated levels of vulnerability that rise to met a complete stranger in person I first met online, active in sending nudes of myself through social media. Right about 60% of those kids after the presentation say, this is a really bad idea, I got to stop.
Yeah. Wow.
Then there are the hundreds upon hundreds of stories that are the personal live anecdotes that kids line up and tell us their stories. Some of them would absolutely give you horrors and nightmares at night if I told you their stories. Others of them are just so fun and exhilarating, like the little elementary school kids that say, I told my older sister that she's being stupid on her apps and she needs to knock it off, and now you prove that she really is stupid.
Oh, that's
okay,
great.
well, not exactly the effect I'm going with, but you work with that. Like, you go talk to that older sibling of yours and you tell them.
There we go. That works. Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay. And so now, there's so we're getting short on time, and there's so much that I want to still address. You were talking about measuring vulnerabilities earlier. Okay. And I just want to bring that up again, because so many kids, you were talking, there's so many different aspects. The suicide was one of them, kids getting suicidal, being lonely. And afraid, they're being abused. And so they turn away from everything that should be their safeguards. Right. Mean, that's what that's all about. So where oh God, there's just, like I said, there's just so many things that are just pouring through me right now. And we're short on time, so I'm trying to condense and I can blah, 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 blah. So, I just want to get back to that because people listening don't get it sometimes. I mean, it's not that they don't love their kids. Like you said, you had a mom with that 2-year-old or second grader that she's working 3 jobs, for God's sakes.
Yep.
She's doing whatever she can to survive. And it's not that she doesn't love the kids. She just doesn't always have, she's half asleep trying to do one thing or another and trying to live a life and give her kids a life. So how can we spot red flags better? What are things that can be triggers that we can help to avoid or help to make sure we're being aware of? What do we need to be as parents or friends?
So let me unpack this in kind of like the old school David Letterman type stuff, the top 10 lists. Okay.
Yes.
Let me give you kind of a top 10 list thing that adults need to be aware of. That we kind of say this is your top 10 list to kind of watch for your kids. So first, to start with this, here's the message to adults: don't live in fear, be wise.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because a lot of times we'll get done with a presentation like this, or if I do this live, and the adults are like, "I'm going home. We're burning the house down." Like,
right.
At least the technology, right? And
right.
Like we're gonna throw the phones in the nearest lake. We're gonna rip the Wi-Fi. Like, that's actually not the answer, because like the world operates with technology. It's a good thing. It's not all
right. Yeah.
So adults need to go just kind of relax this. But so here's the thing with your kids: don't overreact and don't underreact. Because here's the reality:
educate. It's
no longer a matter of if your kid is going to encounter something nefarious online. It's not a matter of if. It's when it happens. How are you going to lead them through that?
How much time is it going to take for it to happen? Yeah.
How are we going to do that? The second thing I would say is if you are a parent, I actually challenge you to be your kid's parent and don't try to be their best friend.
Yeah.
Right.
That's huge. Yep.
So there's a lot of parents out there working really hard to be their kid's best friend, and they want it. Okay. So imagine a cliff, and your kid's coming to the edge of the cliff, and the cliff is going to represent their online life, and something nefarious is about to happen. A parent is going to put a fence, a concrete wall with glass on the top of it, around the top of that cliff to keep that kid from falling off. Okay. A best friend, should be a parent, is going to have to deal with the ambulance at the bottom after the kid falls off the cliff. So, I mean, the cool parent, we're sharing these pictures, and now all of a sudden we got this horrible situation. So we beg for parents to be parents.
Yeah.
When I'm doing live situations, I actually have them raise their hands and I deputize them. I promise I'll be my kid's parent first, not their best friend. Right. Okay?
Yeah.
The best friend things comes later in life. Right.
Right.
The third thing is where we started. Don't ever think or say, not my kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the kid in my neighborhood. As you said, Neil, not in my backyard. And I know you didn't mean that literally, but it's a term we can all relate to. It's like,
it's an old term.
Absolutely, we get that.
Because I'm old.
So don't ever think or say, not my kid. Then the fourth thing is lead by example. I need adults leading by example in their own lives. Part of the challenge with that is there's a generational change. Like, so you got certain generations, like, I can't run the TV remote. Where's the 5-year-old?
Right. Yeah.
I can't unlock my phone.
Exactly. Okay. How do I not make this thing go sideways? How do I straighten it out? So what we're asking adults to do is lead by example in their own lives. So it can be the situation to where, hey, your kid at home, because you're not being their best friend, you're trying to be the parent, they do need to talk to you. Put your own phone down.
Yeah.
Get off social media and look your kid in the eye. And also be careful of the own kind of things that you post. Right. Because I guarantee your kids are paying attention to that. The fifth thing I'll tell people is develop a plan for your family. There's no right or wrong in this, but develop a plan. Whatever your plan is, be consistent. So like on our website, stoptraffickingproject.com, there's about 110 pages of free resources on there. If they download the app, there's all kinds of things on there, videos and stuff that help too. But one of the free things that's on our website is as simple as a cell phone contract.
Yeah.
It's a 2-page document. I sign it, kid signs it, I break it as the adult. Here's the thing for me. Kid breaks it. Here's the consequence for them. So make sure that adults, you need to understand that you're not invading your kid's privacy. You need to make sure that that's your phone. Unless your kid is independently wealthy, that phone is probably yours. You're paying the bill. So that means you should know every password. You should have 24/7 access to that. You get the right to look at that anytime you want to. Okay. So develop your plan. We tell adults to start young. That's why we're doing kindergarten.
Right.
Yeah. What a horrible thing that we even have to.
Yeah. I mean, do you get a lot of flack for starting with, why are these guys here? They shouldn't be talking to my kids about this. And
Not when they realize that really the presentation's about my dog Bandit, and we're at the off-leash dog park, and we're running around having a good time, and Bandit feels secure. Why? Because he's got a boundary.
Right.
Yeah.
Ah, very well.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Dude.
So there's all these fun ways that we impact these things for kids. They don't even have a clue what we're actually dealing with these issues. We just want to make sure they're safe online. Because if you encounter something online that makes you feel unsafe, because what's it like to have a cockroach in your mouth, kids? So disgusting. Okay, so that's a cockroach. And what are you going to do? I need screen help.
Yeah.
And
kindergarten. That's it. All I remember is stoning the cockroach. Right.
Yeah.
So start young, because the seventh thing is if they're not young, you got to pick your battles to win the war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's take TikTok. The massive addictions to TikTok.
Right.
Okay. So not only is the Chinese government keeping all that information, facial recognition of all our teenagers, right? So I've got kids on TikTok who are talking to me about this is where they go to learn to die by suicide. This is where they go to learn about eating disorders. This is where they go to learn the latest self-harm technique.
Yeah.
So you got to pick your battle.
The
eighth thing I think makes a lot of sense. And, so I would encourage you guys to use this in your own relationship between the two of you. And this is what it says. You're only as safe as your stupidest friend online. You're only as safe as your stupidest friend online. Okay. So it all totally enjoying the humor with you guys. So here's a real situation, right? We got a family who they went to Florida for vacation. Two attractive high school girls. Mom takes pictures of them in bikini and posts them all over Facebook. Mom doesn't have a private setting on Facebook. Can't understand why her girls are being exploited online now. Okay, so you're only as safe online as your stupidest friend. Okay. The ninth thing is we need people to understand the three words: exploitation of vulnerability. Here's what I want everybody to remember. How do we get out of this? Identify the vulnerability in the kid you care about before it can be exploited.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and the last thing is engage a strategy. And the strategy we call it be alert. You can be active, learning, empowered, relentless together. You're not in this alone. Other parents are facing the same thing.
Yeah. Now, okay, and all this is on your website, which is the stoptraffickingproject.com. There's apps out there where you can monitor your kids on their phone, even on the internet. Do you suggest that, or do you think that
100%.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
100% with this caveat. Most adults go, okay, because I've got that on my phone, my responsibility is done.
Right.
Nope.
Okay. That was my next thing. Do
all that is a chainsaw that you can do good with, or you can do real bad with.
Right.
Yeah, because it can kick back on you.
Yep.
So okay, because I know I've looked into a few of them, and some of them are actually pretty expensive. But if you really think about it, I mean, these are your kids, and not only these are the kids, your kids, but this is the world's future. That's another thing that I look at when I talk to my kids and stuff. I'm like, you're going to be responsible for this world when I'm not able to be. So I need you to be as responsible and as grown up and as mature as possible without all this happening to you. So you need to be aware. Okay. Wow. Like I said,
we got to make sure that adults don't say this to kids. I don't trust you. The message is, I trust you. I cannot trust what's online. So I'm going to give you some parameters and some boundaries and some parameters because I care about you. I love you. I'm invested in you. This is why we're doing this. I'm not mad at you. I'm not angry with you. I'm not trying to take your phone, your technology away. Right. It's because we cannot trust what's out there.
Yeah.
Right.
And kids
get it. They get it.
Yeah.
Right. And if it's approached like that, they're going to say, okay, all right. I mean, and some kids will get, upset and pissed off because, oh, you're just trying to tell me. But once you talk to your kid as an adult, again, not as a buddy, but as a parent, as an adult, saying, listen, this is how it is. I'm here to protect you. I'm here to save you. I brought you in this world. I will prevent you being taken out of it, but you have to listen to what I tell you and do what I tell you when I tell you to do it. It's and we get so much of the buddy system and, oh, well, it'll be fine. And it opens up all these gray areas again. And then it just completely falls apart. And then they go, I don't understand what happened. Well,
right.
It starts with you, and that's and unfortunately it's a sad thing. Like I said, you got parents out there working 3 jobs and whatnot. I've been there. I know. I was a guy working 16 hours a day, and my wife was working and, things like that. So it happens, but you still have to vest your time. I'd rather be tired from taking care of my kids after my job than being tired from, trying to figure out what the hell's going on with my kid and where are they? What happened to them? So,
100%.
Man, Russ, this has just been so. I mean, like again, and we've only scratched the surface. That's the really annoying thing, and I wish I had an extra 3 hours. And I'm sure my listeners are like, okay, well, listen, there's only so much we can take at a time here, especially of you, Christian.
That's true.
And well, ask.
It's a tough topic. It's a difficult topic.
It is, and
but
again,
it's important. I mean,
it's so huge.
Right.
You're just scratching the surface on all the information you have. Because every time I see you speaking, it's like I learn something more each time. It's just like, well, okay, hold on, this isn't the same thing you were talking about. I mean, it is, but it's there's more. So let's we're getting short on time, and I don't want to. Would you be willing to come back with us? Would you be able to take a little more time? Maybe later or early next year or something. We'll bring you back in. And,
I'd be honored to.
I'd love to just keep bringing you back in here and making people aware of all this.
Right.
Because and our audience grows all the time, and so I want to make sure we keep reaching out and letting people be aware of what's going on with all this human trafficking, sex trafficking, because like you said, it's just so invasive, and it's right there. And Run to Stop It's coming up. You can see Russ's shirt there. Let me there remove the little title. Run to Stop It, which the proceeds from our hats go to fund that, which funds Russ, the Relentless Pursuit Organization, and Christine's Place. I think there's a couple others, but that will be coming up soon. So where's our jar? Where's our jar? Oh, money for you all. There it is, right there. We're trying to fill it up, buddy. There it is. And so make sure you all buy a hat or just donate to Run to Stop It or the StopTraffIckingProject.com. You can just go right there, and I'm sure you guys have a PayPal or something. True, correct?
Correct.
Yes, that's what we needed. All right, guys. All right. So Russ, I know we've only scratched the surface. We only got a little time, but now I just want to do a little bit of I want to lighten the mood a little bit, and because we've been pretty intense here, and I'm not gonna lie. And now that my soundboard's back up, I want to see if you want to play a little game with us called
Random Questions of Insanity.
Yes, there it is right there. Sir, would you be interested in playing our game?
He's talking to you, Andy.
No, he's talking to you.
Oh, he's talking to me. Yes, of course I'll play your insane game.
It's just a simple little game. Well, I don't know about that, because it's just something we like.
Purpose is finally being fulfilled right now. If it involves trivia, I suck. So
no. There are no wrong answers. It is
a Rorschach test of your personality, essentially.
Yeah, it's really it's just a lot of fun. Helps people see how real you are and how we are and all that.
I think we're breaking.
I'm going in a tunnel.
Oh, connection's getting really bad here, guys.
I can see the moon.
I'm directly under the sun right now. Okay. So yeah, we have 2 standard questions that we open up with, which the first one is, what is the best James Bond film?
Well, Sean Connery, he was my man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess I would go with. Oh man.
It's not an easy question. It really isn't.
Why is it so hard?
Well,
Why
because
is it
there's
so
so
hard for
many.
me?
There's so many great Bond
Well,
films.
It really is.
And
Each
because
actor
they're also realistic.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, right. Especially Goldfinger.
Right.
Yeah.
No, the Goldfinger was not my favorite.
No.
Okay.
Okay. So
right.
which one's your favorite?
Um,
And Colin
Never
Reeves
Say Die.
Holston. No.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? I don't think we've had that one yet, Andy. Have we?
No, we haven't. No, that's
Oh.
yeah. That's,
Oh.
it's
Very
partly
well.
because of how it all played out. But so if you want to get deep, it's partly like it's a little bit of a motto of mine to never quit. Like
Okay.
I want to quit doing
Right.
this every day. Honestly,
Right.
like there are some
Yeah.
days like I don't want to be at that school. I don't want to talk to these law enforcement officers. I don't want to do this legislative thing. Like I just want to quit. I'm kind of
Sure.
done with this. It's like
Right.
a motto is like never quit. So that was one of the movies. And this has kind of been one of my personality things for like way back. So Never Say Die. It was
Okay.
Nice. No, I know. Well, a nice in-depth.
I didn't mean to
explanation of why.
ruin the insanity of the random question with something actually serious, but I got to
No.
go there.
No,
That's-
there
hey,
are
that
no
works.
wrong answers. So that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Well done. What is your favorite sandwich, and what all is on it? What from bread to bread? What all? How do you make your favorite sandwich? What is it?
McAllister's Club Sandwich.
Okay, you're gonna have
Okay.
to.
So
be a
it's
little
on
more
it's on
detailed.
it's on wheat bread, lightly toasted. It has turkey, ham, bacon, cheese, spinach, honey roasted mustard, and some lettuce.
Okay.
All right. Nice.
And then a close second would be, depends on my mood. Probably going to be the French dip.
Oh.
Very good.
Yes, I like that. Yes, with a little jus on a nice winter
Le
day.
jus.
Yeah.
Oui. You spill on your pants and then put coffee on top.
Oh God! Next time I see
I
Russ,
did not
he's gonna be
spill.
like, by the way, I don't have any
This is my
coffee.
All right. Yeah.
Does your dog bite?
I was right there. I was going for it.
That is not my dog.
I actually own all those movies. Shocker, I know. All right, Andy, hit him with one.
Simple. Dogs or cats?
Dogs. Duh.
Oh, where is it? Where's the button?
Such a no-brainer.
There. Yes, dogs win all the time. Okay, let's see. Who wins in a fight, Kirk or Picard?
Who wins? What? I didn't hear.
Who wins in a fight, Kirk or Picard?
Kirk.
Very
Yes.
good.
That's another correct answer. Andrew?
You just said there were no wrong answers, and now you
Right.
keep dinging me when I do right answers.
Right.
So this is a setup.
It's your night to order pizza for the group. What are we getting?
Canadian bacon
Oh,
pineapple?
Oh.
with pineapple. So
Okay.
Hawaiian.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Yes.
If
The
you're
audience
in the mood,
agrees.
Thin crust, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, extra
Little
sauce
Caesar
and
salad
cheese.
to go with it.
There you go.
Oh,
All right. We'll take it.
dude, this is not good. So close to dinner time. Let's see. Oh, all right.
I have a
this
question
will
for
be
you guys
interesting.
on these random questions. Who came up with these questions?
Well, we randomly discussed
Hey
them.
Siri, can you come up with random questions? Oh my goodness, it's actually doing it right now. Sorry.
Right.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say it will.
Pretty much.
She's listening to
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, we found some online, and then
Excellent.
we just made some up. So,
Yeah.
Well, they're very
like
good.
this one. This was from a Harvard study. If you could ride a unicycle, how would it change your life, and would you feel superior to others?
It would not change my life a bit, and I would feel like an absolute dork. Here I am in the circus.
There it is. There's another. Oh, that's a beautiful answer. Good Lord. That was awesome. All right, Andy.
Your food is bad at a restaurant. Do you say anything?
I say something, but I still tip the waiter or waitress very appropriately. And unless it's really, really bad, I don't make a big stink about it. But I do let them know.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
Well done. All right.
Yeah.
You have 5 minutes to be anyone. Who do you choose?
Me, only a better version of me.
Oh no! That is
take
probably one of the best answers I've heard of that. Wow, that is really cool. All right, Andy, one more.
Yeah. What is the weirdest thing in your refrigerator right now?
So I walk through the kitchen to get to the garage,
Okay.
and opening the fridge is something I rarely do. I think the weirdest thing in the fridge might be this hydrogen peroxide stuff that comes in like this thing from the dentist that's like a teeth whitener
Okay.
Oh, okay.
that you have to use like once a week
Oh,
in
sure.
like a retainer
Okay.
for people in my family.
Ah. All right.
All right.
Yeah,
Pretty
that is
random.
weird. So and random. Wow,
Right.
you nailed it.
Because it's a
twice.
random question of insanity.
It is
Exactly.
true. All right.
Hopefully, at the end of this, you can declare me the most insane guest you've ever had. I hope that's the direction this is heading. Like all of the people that we've been doing this, you are officially the most insane.
Oh,
we will
now,
give you. We
Russ,
will give you
Russ.
an official score after the last question. Yes, we will.
We will, but I think I win either way. So
Right. Yeah.
and Andy will vouch for that in a heartbeat.
Well, of course, because you get to answer your own questions.
Right.
Pretty
That's
much.
the definition
It's my
of
show.
insanity.
Yeah, it's my show, so
Talking to myself.
I just have a mirror here. There's actually nobody here. We're just making this up. Okay, you have 30 seconds to tell the world something. What is it?
You need to have a plan for your life.
Mm.
And if that plan happens outside of a personal relationship with the one through God, through his son, Jesus Christ, then a lot of things that you're doing are going to come to naught. And so I would encourage you and challenge you to seek out that deep, deep relationship. It will change your life forever and eternity.
Boom. There it is right there. That is beautiful. That was wonderful. Sir, Mr. Russ Tuttle of the Stop Trafficking Project, how do we get a hold of you again? Let's go ahead and go through the list of ways to get a hold of you, sir.
Yeah, so the first thing is send out a smoke signal, cover wet burlap bag with start a fire, and then just poof, and I'll see the message from Uganda.
Or a bat signal.
Or, yeah, however that works.
Right.
Yeah, so they can email me, russ@stoptraffickingproject.com. They can connect with me at our website, stoptraffickingproject.com. I'm on LinkedIn. We have Instagram page. We have Facebook page. Or if they want to, they can text this word, be alert. Doesn't matter if it's big caps, small caps. Be alert to this number, 833-321-0219. So that's be alert to 833-321-0219 from anywhere in the world. And that helps us kind of keep in touch with you. It's not a fundraising ploy. It just lets you know like places we're going to be and connects you to different information. So be alert to 833-321-0219.
Right on. Okay, and we'll have links to all this on the website with the show. So it'll be all on there at therandomchristianshow.com. Russ Tuttle, again, thank you. So I know you've got so much going on.
My honor.
Thank you.
Really, really happy
Thank
to be
you
here,
so
guys.
much.
Thank you so much for
It
doing
was
this.
wonderful. Yeah.
For
Really
being with
appreciate
us, and we will bring you back in a few months and check in with you and see how everything's going, man.
Sounds good.
Just can't say enough about the wonderful work you do, sir. Please keep going strong, and anything we can do to help. Like I said, we're trying our best with selling our hats to help raise money for y'all. So, and Run to
Buy
Stop
hats.
is coming up. So make sure you're contributing to that, kids. In the meantime, Russ, please keep doing what you're doing, and we will talk to you again soon, sir. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Russ.
All right, Russ. Wow, he is awesome.
Yeah, incredible.
Seriously, we could have gone for at least another couple of hours. I know he could.
Yeah.
All right, man. So I know we've got to get going. We want to thank again PJ's Coffee with for sponsoring the show. Mention them when you go and buy PJ's. Oh, I put my cup over here. Well, I'm doing the talking, so I can't really. There's PJ right there.
Yeah,
I got their cup.
Okay.
Anyway, 15% off whenever you make a purchase at PJ's if you mention the Random Christian Show. We also want to thank Colonel James Neil Broaddus of The Advisor, the Colonel with his wee beady eyes, Spreaker podcast. We want to thank them so much for helping us out and picking us up and putting us out there to the world with y'all. Let's see, who else we got? Oh, Good Pods, for God's sakes. Yeah.
Right.
Who we are constantly in the top 20 with. Next week we have Michael Huber. Where's my graphic? I try to do so many things here. Here he is. There he is. Michael Huber right there. Next week on the show, Michael Huber of the Freshman Foundation, talking about kids and sports and how to help them and all about that kind of stuff and the psychology of it. So make sure you tune in next week, which is Tuesday, 4 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Mountain, 2 p.m. Pacific. For Andrew, for me, Christian, I want to say thank you all so much. Thank you for being a part of this. Please take care of each other, help each other out, be good to each other, and God bless you all. Have a beautiful week. We will see you all next week